Hi everyone, it's Library Linda, and I'd like to welcome you to this week's edition of Did You Know? Did you know the first Thanksgiving in the United States was held in 1621? It was a celebration of the first successful harvest. William Bradford, who was the governor of the Plymouth colony settlers, invited Native Americans to join and enjoy the fruits of their labor. And 90 Native Americans from the Wampanoag tribe came, and they brought food with them also. And there was so much food that they feasted for 3 days. And did you know the one thing they probably didn't eat? Turkey. More than likely, they had venison or other fowl like duck or goose. And they also had a lot of seafood, such as oyster, lobster, eel, and other fish. But did you know the first official day of Thanksgiving didn't happen until 1777? The Continental Congress made a proclamation that Thursday, December 18th, was a day for solemn thanksgiving and praise for their victory over the British in the Battle of Saratoga. And did you know in 1789, George Washington called for another National Day of Thanks? It would be the last Thursday of November to commemorate the end of the Revolutionary War and the ratification of our Constitution. And did you know Sarah Josepha Hale, famous for writing Mary Had a Little Lamb, was on a campaign to try and get Thanksgiving made into a national holiday? For 17 years, Sarah wrote letters to the sitting president, starting with Martin Van Buren, then William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, before finally coming across the desk of Abraham Lincoln. And did you know, in October of 1863, President Abraham Lincoln declared in his Thanksgiving proclamation that the fourth Thursday of November would be observed as a day of Thanksgiving. But did you know, in 1939, Franklin Roosevelt changed Thanksgiving Day from the fourth Thursday to the third Thursday of November? The country was still recovering from the Great Depression, and FDR wanted to give the economy a boost. So he did this by adding 7 extra shopping days before Christmas. Many people called this change of Thanksgiving Franksgiving. And fortunately, in 1942, he changed it back to the fourth Thursday in November. Did you know that Jingle Bells was originally written for Thanksgiving? The song was written by James Pierpont, who was a composer and an organist in his brother's church in Savannah, Georgia. It was written for a Sunday school program for Thanksgiving. So when he wrote the song in 1857, he called it One Horse Open Sleigh, as he remembered his time growing up in New England. And 2 years later, in 1859, the name was officially changed to Jingle Bells. And did you know that the very first football game ever played on Thanksgiving was in 1876, Yale over Princeton, 2-0? And the first NFL game was in 1934, Chicago Bears over the Detroit Lions, 19-16. And did you know that the very first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was in 1924, and it was to celebrate the expansion of their new superstore on Herald Square? That first parade included live animals like monkeys and bears and camels and elephants from the Central Park Zoo, and it promised to be an animal circus. And in 1927, they added the balloons, and they cut the parade route from 6 miles down to 2. Did you know, in 1953, the Swanson Company had to deal with an overabundance of turkeys due to a miscalculation with one of their executives purchasing turkeys. Then a salesman saved the day by coming up with the idea of taking the pre-made turkey and gravy with all the fixings and putting it in an aluminum pan like they use in airlines. And then they were frozen. And this became the very first TV dinner and it was marketed for children, and it sold for 98 cents. And did you know that Butterball receives over 100,000 calls on their turkey talk line asking for advice on how to cook the perfect turkey? I hope you enjoyed this Thanksgiving edition of Did You Know? And I hope to see you again next time.